Hello everyone, very good afternoon. Happy Public Day first of all from the DSC GITAM team, and welcome you all on this the introductory session on getting started with web development. So today we have our web development team consisting of Ashish, Naveen, Shriram, and Dheeraj. So today's session will be quite basic. We'll be dealing with the basics requirements in the front end side, and we'll be also developing a very minor project. It will be a very fun project that you can work upon with us. And yeah, we'll be waiting for a couple of minutes so that some of your friends also can join in, and we'll be starting off the session soon around 1:05. Thank you. Okay. I guess we are ready to go. So let's get into the some of the basic rules that, yeah, first of all, whatever doubts, whatever queries you have regarding the session, regarding DSC Geetham, or about our speakers and anything, you can feel free to drop them in the chat box. Speakers will definitely take a point on that, and they will address all your queries. And all the best to everyone. And let's get started with the web development. I would request Naveen and Ashish to take over from here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish and Vishwajit. So, good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Naveen, and I am a core team member at DSC GITAM. So, today we are going to play with HTML, CSS, and JS. And at the end of the session, we are going to build one mini project known as Stopwatch. So, let's get started. So coming to the first and foremost thing, we are going to discuss HTML. In HTML, we are going to discuss us about some brief introduction and what is the difference between HTML and HTML5. And we are going to understand some basic structure of HTML. Then we are going to discuss tags, attributes. At the end, we are doing all those stuff in a practical implementation. So what is HTML? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So most of the people think that it is a programming language. No, it is a markup language. So it describes the basic structure of HTML, followed by it consists of series of elements. So the elements are represented with some tags. So what are they? So coming to the difference between HTML and HTML5, in the previous versions of HTML, we have doc type, which is declared in the top of the session. That was too long. So coming to HTML5, it was reduced first with a one sentence, which is the exclamatory mark followed by doc type HTML. In the previous versions, HTML does not support audio and video. So coming to HTML5, it's supporting audio and video by using a audio tag and video tags. So in the previous versions of HTML, those are not mobile friendly. Nowadays, HTML5 is a mobile friendly. So in the previous one, it does not consist of nav, header is not present in the previous versions of HTML. But in the newer version, nav and header and footer, all those are present in some tags. So coming to the previous versions of HTML, it does not works on all the old browsers. But coming to HTML5, it is supported by Firefox, Mozilla, Chrome, Safari, and etc. So in the previous versions of HTML, JavaScript does not run in the browser, whereas in the newer version, JavaScript can be run in the background. So coming to the basic structure of HTML, what does it consist? So at the first, we are going to declare a doc type HTML. What does it mean? We are just declaring the session, and this means it is a document type which consists of HTML. Followed by, we are going to give HTML tag. HTML is nothing but it is a root element. Inside that, we are giving all those contents which we are going to render in the browser. Then we are declaring the header session followed by meta. What this meta tag means? Meta tags will provide an SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Followed by the title which you are going to discuss. So for here, it is a basic structure of HTML. I have given an this title. So later in the body session, I am declaring h1 tag. H1 in the sense heading 1. It is the bigger heading which we are going to provide. So in the heading tag, we have h1 to h6. So this is all about the description of the tags. And at the end of the session, what we are going to implement. So we are discussing some heading and paragraph tags, followed by the attributes, followed by the images tags, tables, and forms. All those things will see in the practical implementation. So for the further reference, at the end of the session, you can refer Code Academy, lenda.com, W3 schools, and a tutorial point for more or understanding. So coming to CSS, what CSS stands for? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Basically, the CSS can be declared with three methods. First is inline CSS. It is not recommended nowadays. So inline CSS can be declared inside an HTML tag. For example, here you can see div style is equals to color red. By this way, we can include an inline CSS. So what are the drawbacks if we use an inline CSS? The style, we need to style each element separately. It is not an efficient use, and it is not a scalable. So coming to internal CSS is better as compared to inline CSS. It can be declared by using a style tag. So what does it contain? It can only be used in a single file, but there is one drawback in internal CSS. What is that? It makes a file too large, which we are declaring in HTML file. So coming to external CSS, it is the best way to implement the style sheet. So how does it link? Is linked with a link tag followed by href. Href stands for header reference, followed by the file name, that is style.css. It keeps style separate from the HTML, and it will improve the readability as well as usability. So coming to CSS selectors, what are they? What is selectors basically? Selectors are used to select an element and which you want to style. Selectors can be select in different manner. For example, if we see div comma p, what does it do? It select the div element followed by all the paragraph element. So coming to the next one, div followed by the p. It will select all the p elements inside this div element. So third selector does? So div is greater than p. What does it do? It will select all the p elements where the parent element is a div element. So coming to the box model is the most important topic in the CSS. Most of the people in the beginning got confused in the box model. So the box model we will see in depth while we are going to the practical session. So what does it do? So suppose we have a content inside a box. So this is a content. For example, if we provide some width followed by the height, what does it do? Here we have a box. So what does it has three attributes, which is padding, border, and margin. Padding will add inside the content space. So what does it border do? Border will add the border outline of the content. What does the margin do? Margin will add space outside the content. So it has four attributes. For example, padding top. How much padding we are required at the top? Padding right. How much space inside the content we are required in the right, followed by the bottom and the right. So I will implement this box model in the practical session. So let's get started. For example, this is a VS Code, guys. We are in this complete web series. We will implement all those code in the VS Code. So how to download this? I will show you. So go to VS Code for Windows. So here you can see code.visualstudio.com. Click on it. So VS here you can download for Windows. It is supported for Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, followed by the Linux operating system and Mac. For now, I am not downloading it because I have already installed in my local laptop. So I'm continuing from it. Why I'm using it because it provides a various extensions which is a lifesaver for our code. So all these are the extensions which we are going to use. So let's start. How to declare? This is for declaring a file. This is for declaring a folder, and this is for refresh, and this is for exploring minimization kind of thing. For example, I'm giving a file name index.html. So in the visual code, VS Code, we have an emit button. So emit will provide a basic structure of HTML. For example, like this. I'm using a emit here and press enter. So it will generate some template of the HTML tag. So here we have a doc type, which is a document type HTML, followed by HTML tag. It is a root tag. Inside that we are going to give our content. For here we have a title. For example, in the title, I am giving DSC workshop A1. Inside the body. First, what I said, I am going to discuss about heading tags. Basically, the heading tags are from H1 to H6. For example, H1. This is a heading 1. Followed by we have H2, we have H3, we have H4, we have H5, and at last we have H6. I'll show you output. This is a heading 2. This is a heading 3. This is 4. This is 5. Followed by this is 6. So let's open the browser. Right click in the VS Code. Here you can see open with live server. For this you need to install one extension called as live server so that you can work a code here as well as you can see the output besides your code. Here we have live server. I have already pre-installed in my laptop. Here you can I have already installed, that's why it is showing disable. For you it will showing install. So I will run my code first. Right click here, open with live server. So here you can see H1. This is a bigger text, right? As compared to H2. H2 is this one. H3 is this one. H4 is this one. H5 is this one, and H6 is this one. All these things are bigger to smaller. It will arrange from bigger to smaller. These all are our heading tags. So next, coming to the paragraph tag. So paragraph tag is defined with P. So in the VS Code, it provides one of the awesome feature called Lorem. So Lorem will give you some demo text, which is useful for most of the time while you are generating or creating a project. For example, if I am giving a Lorem demo text here, I am clicking Control S. Here you can see the output. This is a paragraph tag. Similarly, I am giving another paragraph. For example, see here it is generated. So you can in the HTML, basically we have two types of elements. For one is internal elements and another one is block level elements. What does an internal elements do? Inline elements do not starts with a new. My bad, sorry. It is not internal. It's inline elements, and another one is block level elements. Inline elements do not starts with a new line, whereas block elements will starts with a new line. What is a paragraph? A paragraph is an block level element. Why so? Because it is start every paragraph element is going to starts with a new line. So I will show you one more example. If I am pasting the same content paragraph here, you can see after refreshing, it is started with a new line. So these paragraph tags are block level elements. Coming to the inline elements will never starts with a new line. If you want a new line, there you need to use br tag. What does the br tags do? Br tags will break the row. It will add a new line. For example, if I would like to add this lorem as bold, what does we can do? We have a strong tag. So in between, I am pasting lorem. So Control S. You can see here the lorem is get bolded. So if I want to make it italic, for example, ipsum. If I want to make it italic, what can we do? I am using em tag. Em stands for emphasize. So I am going to paste between it. So it gets italic. You can see, right? Yeah. Instead of using strong, we can also use B tag. Stands for bold. You can also see it gets bolded. Suppose instead of doing here, I will make this content as I will make this one as bold. Just B. Ratio. Yeah, you can see here this one got bold. So for example, here we use em tag, emphasize tag. Similarly, we have I tag to make it italic. I. Here we use I tag. So it becomes an italic. Actually, most of the people are nowadays preferring strong and em instead of B and I because these are not semantic, by the way. So it would be better if you prefer strong and em instead of B and I. So these are called as HTML formatting elements. So similarly, we have superscript and subscript element. Super and subscript. So what does it do? Suppose you want to write some formula like a square a plus b whole square, right? How can you write using the HTML here? I will show you. Here we use a superscript. So suppose I'm taking a p here. A plus B for superscript of 2. So here you can see the output A plus B whole square. So by using a superscript, we can add a square at the top. Similarly, we have a subscript. What does a subscript do? For example, we are writing some chemical formulas. Like if you want to show in your browser like nitrogen. Nitrogen is denoted with what type of atomic element? N2, right? Atomic symbol. So to write this, what can we do is and followed by sub of 2. So here you can see N2 here. You can see a nitrogen here besides the chemical, and it is scrolling up. Just a minute. Yeah, here you can see the output N2 nitrogen. So these are all called as HTML formatting elements. So next we are going to discuss how to add an image in our browser. So for adding an image, we have an image tag. Image tag consists of two attributes. First one is source and second one is alt. Source will add your source content. For example, I have DSC image here. So I would like to add this one in my browser. So what can I do? I will just type the name of that file. So press Ctrl S. So it will show the image. So here you can see developer students club image, right? What does it also do? It also will add a caption to this image. For example, I will give a DSC. If the image is not loaded here, for example, I am removing in GITAM. Here you can see something image is there, but the file name or something error was done. So here you can see the caption of that image. That is a DSC. So this is how we can add image in our browser. So second one and another one is an anchor tag. Anchor tag is most important when if you want to put some links in your browser. So anchor tag is denoted with A. A inside an anchor tag you have head reference. So for example, header reference, I would like to add a Google in my browser www.google.com. Go to Google. Here it added a link to so that it can enable to redirect to the Google page. So here you can see after clicking it, it is redirecting me to the Google page. Here you can see that it is rendering in the same page. To make it render in another page or open a new page, we have one attribute called as target. If we mention target underscore blank, it will open in a new page. See here. See here. It is opened in a new page. So this is another important tag. So coming to another tag, we have a list of elements, right? List of items. For example, we have ordered list as well as we have unordered list. So it is denoted with OL and UL tags. If we want to mention some order list, so we will use OL. What does it do? It'll print the output in a number form or in a bullet form. For example, order list. I would like to take apple, mango, orange. So you can see the output. It is printed in a number form: 1 apple, 2 orange, 3 mango. Coming to unordered list, we'll just copy it and just make UL tag. So this is an unordered list. Unordered list is printed in a bullet form. Here you can see apple, mango, and banana. These all are ordered list and unordered list. So coming to the table, how to declare a table basically. So table is declared with a table tag. Table followed by table row, because table consists of rows and columns. Table row followed by table head. The heading of the table I would like to give my first name. Second heading, last name. Third heading, my age, suppose. So this is the heading of the table. For example, if I refresh it, here you can see the table content here. I would like to add some style. So width is equals to 100%. It will take 100% width. Yeah, you can see it is going to take the 100% width. Otherwise, I will make it 50. Yeah, now it is taking a 50% of width. So inside my table, I would like to enter the table data. We need to add the data in a row. So that's why I'm mentioning tr followed by td. Td stands for table data. So table data, I would like to enter my first name Naveen, second name Babu, and my age 20. Here you can see the data is filled. Similarly, tr, suppose I would like to enter another data. Td 20. So here you can see another data is filled. So to get a border, we can add an attribute called border. How much border do you want? 1. So it will add border to your table. Like this, you can and create your own tables. So another most important thing is forms. You can see in most of the websites you can see the form at the end, so that they are telling you to, if you want to contact or if you have any queries, you can fill the form, and the form is going into their company mails and they will reach you through the form. So how to create those forms, I will tell you. So for the forms, we have a form tag, form followed by the action. Now action is for for the backend peoples. For example, if we are using PHP, so we will mention PHP here. So now we are not writing the backend. We will implement it later. So that's why I'm leaving the action as empty. For example, I would like my first attribute as my first name followed by br. What does this br tag do? Br tags will add a new line followed by the input tag. Input tag, it consists of type. Which is type the name will have. It is a text type, right? So that's why it is giving default as text. So we have another attribute called placeholder. Placeholder which tells us the user that what you need to enter. For example, here I am mentioning enter your first name. After refreshing it, here you can see it is asking entering your first name. Like this, we can create a last name followed by br, and we are creating an input tag. It will also take text, and here I am adding a placeholder which is enter your last name. Yeah, I'll add PR here so that this last line will come in the first. So here you can see the last name from here. It is come from here. So we are not adding CSS. That's why it is looking ugly. After when we go through the CSS topics, we will style it more beautifully. So second one, I would like to select there. This is the input type. If we want to take a choose the correct option like text. So for that we have, for example, if I want to select your gender for this input, this is not text. This is a radio buttons. For that, I'm mentioning male, and similarly, the type is radio button female. So you can see the person is either male or female, right? So from here you can choose or which one do you want. So the next radio button, input type, just a minute, I will add PR here so that it will come in the new line. Add here, it is coming to the new line. After that, I am going to add a checkbox. Checkbox is for or what it will add a multiple values. For example, type checkbox. Type is checkbox. For example, I would like to add what is your favorite food. Favorite fruits. I would like to add this as a multiple values, right? One person has multiple favorite foods. For example, input type I'm giving checkbox, and the attribute I would like to give a mango. And as the input I would like to give checkbox apple, that I am giving orange. Here you can see it is not text, the checkbox. Here you can see you can select a multiple values. This is how a checkbox works. So another one we have is at the end we have a submit button, right? In the contact form, how we can declare it? We use a button tag button, which is a type submit. So to get a text inside the button, we'll add a submit button here. Here you can see we are getting a submit button. So this is what mainly we have in the HTML. So I will recap once again what we discussed. First, we discussed about the tags, heading tags. Yeah, this is the output for that. So then we are discussed paragraph tags, followed by the HTML semantic elements, that is big, italic, strong, emphasize. So then we discuss superscript and subscript tags. Then we discuss what is an image tag followed by the anchor tag. Here you can see the output. This is the output for the image tag and this is the output for the anchor tag. So then we discussed ordered list and what is an unordered list. Ordered list consists of OL followed by LI, where unordered list consists of UL followed by LI. So this is the output for the ordered list and this is the output for the unordered list. So then we discuss how to declare a table in HTML. So this is the output for it. So it comes first we are starting with a table tag, followed by the table row, and followed by the content which you want. So th by default it will add a bold. Th stands for table head. Then we are then followed by the data which you want to enter. That's why I'm using td here. Then we discussed about forms at the end. These are the basics thing what we have in the HTML. So now coming to the CSS, as I already told you that the CSS is of three types. So one is inline CSS, one is internal CSS, and another one is external CSS. So how to add internal CSS? For example, this is the heading one, right? For heading one, I would like to add this one as a red color. So how to add it? Style color equals to red. So here you can see the heading tag become a red color. This is how we can add an inline CSS. How to add an internal CSS? Internal CSS is declared inside the head tag. So how to declare it? We use a style. Then we are going to select which tag do you want. For example, this is heading to I'm targeting. So here I gave heads to, and which color I want. I want suppose green. So here you can see this was styled through what internal CSS. How to style with an external CSS? So external CSS is the best way to style the things. For example, I am declaring another file for style.css. So after declaring it, we need to include this file in our HTML. How to include this? We need to add link. So link consists of two attributes. First is what dot type it is. It is a style sheet. That's why is giving a style sheet. And href. Href is nothing but to link this file. So to link this file here, we need to mention the file name, that is style.css. So now our file got linked. This is a external CSS. This is a internal CSS. For example, in external CSS, I would like to target H3. So color I would like to give is suppose aqua. So you can see it is converted to the aqua, right? So now I am going to explain you about box model. So box model is the most important concept in the CSS. So let's see. So I will just now I will commenting it out so that you won't confuse. How to comment is just select it. After selecting it, press Ctrl and a forward slash besides the shift button. So it will directly comment out here. For example, I'm targeting here. Control it. Control forward slash. Forward slash. Everything is commented out. So now we are going to learn what is box model. So coming to the box model. So here file is empty. For example, I am taking H3 heading tag. inside it I'm writing understanding box model. Now I'm commenting it out. Understanding box model. Here you can see the output, and I'm declaring one paragraph tag. Inside that I am giving some demo text. You can see this content. So to style this, first I would like to make this heading to the center. So how to do that? So I will target H3. So we have text align for it. Text align center. So you can see it went to the center. Then so make this paragraph as a separate division div. It's fit in the bottom, so that it become a separate division from H3. So I will target this div tag. First, I would like to give a background color for it as DD1E7. You can see the background color is added to this paragraph. Then I would like to add the width so that it become little bit minimized. I would like to add some 300. Here you can see some space is coming on. So if I make it 200 so that you can get more clear. Here you can see the width is added to 200. I would like to add border for it. For example, a border take what width of the border do you want? For example, I want 10 pixel of solid line followed by a green color. So you can see the border is added to it. So instead of solid, we have a dotted lines. So you can see the border become a dotted. For now, I am making a solid line. It will add a solid border. And now box model, basically in the box model, we are dealing with padding and margin. Padding will add an internal space inside the content. For example, I'm giving padding 20 pixel. So what does it do? It will add from the top of 20 pixel space, from the left 20 pixel, right 20 pixel, and left side 20 pixel. For suppose instead of doing in this thing, I would like to add just in the left side, I would like to add 20 pixel space. So here you can see it is added only in the left side 20 pixel space. So instead of doing that, we can also do in this way. If I want 10 pixel from the top and bottom, and I would like to add 20 pixel from left and right. So it will add 10 pixel from top and bottom, left 10 or 20, 20. So this is how padding works. How margin will work. I will give a margin, suppose 40 pixel. So margin will add outside space. Here you can see the space is coming from the outside. So here it is added a 40 pixel. Here it is added a 40 pixel. From here it is added a 40 pixel. From here it is added a 40 pixel. This is how the box model works. So now let's jump into our project, what we are going to implement today. So this is the basic understanding of box model. And in our project, we will implement it from the scratch. And you can understand CSS in more depth. So I am declaring index.html. So in index.html, I am declaring template for which is created with an emit. So it will generate an template for me. So What is the title for it? Stopwatch. For example, so I am creating an external CSS. So for this, suppose I need to create one file, style.css. The file is created. Then I am linking this file. Yeah. So the file is linked with this index.html. So I am making a stopwatch, right? So for that, I am including all those content in one division. So that's why I am given a division tag. So we have in HTML we have class and IDs. What does this class and IDs do? Class and IDs will help you when you are styling the content, and when and we are writing a JavaScript. These things are more helpful for us. For example, I am giving a container class and I am adding an image to it. So what image we have? We have this one, timer. So I am adding an image. In the demo session, I already discussed how to add an image by adding an image tag. So after that, what is the source for it? We have timer.png. What does this do? It will add a timer image to our browser. I will show you. Here you can see this is our image. You can see that it is very long, right? So we will fix it later. The width is very more, the height is very more. We'll fix it through CSS. So after the image, I would like to add this heading, what we are going to do. I am using another division for it. I am giving ID for it, that is heading, and I am declaring heading as stopwatch. Here you can see the heading, that is a stopwatch. So then I'm adding another division, and for this I am giving a class as text. What does it contain? In a stopwatch, we have a millisecond, seconds, minutes, and hours. So how to declare it? We are going to first declare with a p tag. For this, I am giving an ID as min. Min stands for minutes. So for the demo, I am giving 00 for now. P00 colon p. This one is for seconds. 00 colon p. ID I am mentioning here is millisecond 00. Here you can see 00 colon 00 I am mentioning here. I think it is went in a inline one. So we will fix it through CSS. So this is how it looks like. Then I need to add buttons for it so that we can start our stopwatch, we can pause our timer, we can reset our timer. So for that I am adding buttons to it. Button. What is a type? Button will take type followed by a class or ID. So I am giving type is button. So I'm mentioning the class so that it will be useful while styling this one, as well as when we write a JavaScript for it. I'm giving a class as button. ID is equals to start. Here I am giving another attribute called as on click. On click, we will discuss it later. How does it use? On click is used when we are going to press that button. So with the help of JavaScript, we are going to target. On click is going to take one function called start. With the help of JavaScript, we will target this function. So button I am giving start. So we get a start button. Similarly, I will create another two buttons. Button type is equals to button. This is for pause. This is for pause. And ID I would like to give is pause. And this is for reset. This is for reset. Here you can see start, pause, and reset. So now we are diving into our style.css. So through this, we are going to style this one. So for this, for the content, I am going to use a Google Fonts. How to download the Google font? Go to Google Fonts. Open the first link, fonts.google.com. Here today we are going to use Slab, Roboto Slab. How to import this one? So here, if you scroll down, I would like a bold 700. So I'm selecting this style, and I would like to import in our CSS. So I am clicking on the import button, and I am importing the content. Control C, Control V. So the font is imported. In the CSS, we have a universal selector. What does the universal selector do? It will reset margin and padding to 0, so that the content is fixed with the end of the browser. So then I am targeting the body tag. So you can see here we have a body tag. So inside a body tag, I'm aligning this all the content to the center. So the content is moved from the left to center. So I am using the imported font family, which is a Roboto. I'm copying from here, font family, copy here. Here you can see the text is changing from the default one to Roboto Slab font family. Then I'm targeting our image. So you can see it has as wider width as well as the height is also more. So we will fix that by targeting our image tag and make it so we would like to decrease the width to 50 pixels suppose. Here you can see the width got decreased. It become 250 pixels now. Second, we are going to target our heading. So for that, I have given ID to it. So here I have given ID, which is a heading tag. So we are targeting that. How to target the ID? We use hash heading. I would like to increase this font. So for that, I am using the font size 45 pixel. So here you can see the font got increased. And I would like to give the color, which is bluish, hash 0079 FE. So it will give you a bluish color. And now I am going to target this P1. We would like to align this is in a row, right? Now it is aligned in a column one. So to align it in a row, we need to target our P. By P, we have written this one in a P tag. Here you can see inside the text we have written in a P tag. We are targeting all these P's. P stands for paragraph. So I would make it so to make it in a row, we use display inline block. So here you can see it become in a row. So I would like to increase this font size 45 pixel. Here the size got also increased, and I would make the width as 50 pixels. And here you can see the width is also increased. So now I am going to target our text. So text is nothing but this one. So we have given a division to it, that is a class text. To target a class, we use a dot, then followed by a class name. So for to target an ID, we use hash. So text, I would like to change the color to something gray. For the gray, we have hexa code 6C757B. It become grayish color. So now I would like to target the whole container. So how to target it? We have given a class name as a container. Container there. So container, text align, center, and margin from top. I would like to make it in a center. So that's why I'm giving a margin here, so that the margin is added and it is going to shifted in something here. So margin from the top, I would like to give 250 pixel. So here you can see it is shifted somewhat here. So I will reduce to 200 pixel. Here you can see now it becomes centered 180. Yeah, it is perfect. So it becomes in a center. So I am targeting now buttons. Here you can see the buttons are two actually. So to make it more beautiful, we will target button PTN. I would like to add padding and margin so that we can get more space. To add it, we use a padding. Padding from top, I would like to give 8 pixel. Padding from left and right, I would like to give 10 pixel. Here the padding is added to the buttons. And margin from the top, I would like to give 10 pixel. So the margin is added from the top. And from the left, so that they can get more spaces here. From left, I would like to add margin left. Margin left, I am giving 4 pixel. Here the margin is added to the buttons. And I would like to remove this border. So to make it a transparent, we have a border attribute, 1 pixel size, which is a solid, transparent, so that the border got removed and it become transparent. So I would like to increase the font inside the button. So for that we have a font size. Font size is of 15 pixel. So the font got increased. So I would like to add the border radius so that it become more beautiful. Border radius 5 pixel. The border radius is added to it. It is not visible because it is transparent. I would make it zoom. So here you can see some border radius is added to it. Then I am adding a color to it. That is a white, HFFF. The text become transparent. And the background color I would like to add is grayish one. 70. So now here you can see the background color is added to our button. So after hover the button, for example, if you are going here, it is not doing something. So to add that effect, we have btn hover. It is also a universal. This is also a selector. So hover, what does it do? For example, if I am giving a background color, something this one, bluish color. So hash 0079F3 would like to add border none. And after going in here, I would like to add a cursor type of thing. For that, I am using a cursor pointer here. So after refreshing it, when we hover here, just a minute. When we hover here, you can see a bluish light is coming on. This is a background color. And you can see some effect is generating. So this is how hover works. So button. We have also another selector called on focus and button active. What does it do? It will generate outline as none. So the outline is not generating here. So it will make outline as none when we are hovering here. Yeah, this is our template of the stopwatch. So now we are going to move into the JavaScript. So to make it work, if we click on the start, so it will the stopwatch will start. When we are going to pause, it is going to be paused. When we are going to reset, it is going to set to 0. So the next slide is going to continued by Ashish. So Ashish, over to you.
Yeah, Naveen, thank you for the wonderful explanation. I hope everyone here understood a little bit about HTML and how CSS works. Now I'll take out from here JavaScript. So yeah, Naveen, you can stop presenting your screen.
Yeah, Ashish. Now you can share.
Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, so since we saw what is JavaScript and what is HTML and CSS and how they work, we'll dive into JavaScript now. So what is JavaScript? It's a lightweight programming language. Mostly people call it as a scripting language, and it is used to make web page interactive. As you can see from the GIF here, HTML just provides you the structure. CSS provides you with some physical appearance or colors and some beautification stuff. JavaScript will provide you the dynamism and accents in your web pages. So JavaScript is very much the back end or backbone of any web page that you see. Any for web page that has some accent going on into it. So yeah, JavaScript is most important part of this web world. It insert dynamic text into HTML. We can insert dynamically into HTML. It reacts to user events. We'll figure out what is user events and what is the most important part of user events in JavaScript. And with the help of JavaScript, you can perform calculations on the person's computer. So instead of having the server on the back end and much more deeper into web, we can perform some calculations on the front end itself. So yeah, JavaScript is useful for that. So overview, this all the topics that a person should know to master JavaScript, which are basic concepts like data types, loops, events, array, objects, DOM manipulation, asynchronous JavaScript, and ESX features. So today, due to time constraints, we'll be fixing ourselves to both basic concepts and DOM manipulation only. Asynchronous JavaScript and ESX features are something little bit advanced. So we'll be continuing that into our next sections of web dev. But for now, we'll be sticking to basic concepts and DOM manipulation. So diving into it, JavaScript data types. JavaScript data types are little bit divided into data types which contain some value, data types which contains object, data types which does not contain values. So yeah, contains value. We have some data types like string, numbers, boolean, object, functions, which has some value in them. And contains object. So contains object. Object is a data type. So this is a data type, and the variables that contains this data type are known as objects. So object contains object is a data type. I know it's little bit confusing, but I'll just go on with the um, theory part once. Then we'll go into the practical part. It will be all crystal clear then. Date, array, and contains null value, which does not contain values at all. So those are null and undefined. Yeah. So JavaScript data types, we can declare JavaScript data type as like this. Var. Var is a keyword which is used to declare a variable, variable name, and a value. So the good thing about JavaScript is it is loosely typed. Like you don't have to mention the particular data type like we do in C, C++ or Java. Int name, int age equals to 20. You don't need to do that. JavaScript will automatically detect which type of data type it is and automatically assign it. So yeah, that will reduce our burden of writing code. So we'll get into the practical parts of this, but for now you can just understand that this is a syntax for declaring variable. So var name DSC, var age 20, CGPA 9.5 is Sunday boolean value. Okay. And loops are same as all other programming languages. We have for loop, while loop, do while loop. Everything works same as all other programming languages loops. In JavaScript, we have another function called for each, which is one more powerful function, which will help us do the solving of traversing into an array. So let's find, we'll see this in practical, how we are going to use this for each. So JavaScript is mostly events based. There are more than 200 JavaScript events. So what is an JavaScript event? Mm, yeah, 1 minute. I'll just tell you what is JavaScript. Okay, so what is a JavaScript event? Events are something that when a user clicks on something in an HTML page, and if that event is registered with JavaScript, it clears a nice understanding way. So just a minute, I'll show you an image of how event works. Yep. So there are thousands of events that a web page has. So when you load a web page, that's one event. Page is loaded. When you refresh a web page, page refresh is done. That's an event. When you click on some button, that's an event, which is called the on click. So whenever you do any changes or any interaction with a web page, everything is an event. So JavaScript listens to that event and performs a particular function. So JavaScript is event-based architecture. You do one thing, and with that event, something else, some functions are triggered in the JavaScript so that you can see your results. Okay. So some of the main important events are on change event. An HTML element has been changed. So an on changed event. So whenever you type on a input box, I think Navin has showed you forms, right? So whenever you type on an input box, you're changing some characters in that HTML attribute. So that's an on change event. Whenever you click on a button, that's an on click event. Whenever you move mouse over a button, that's a mouse over. Whenever you move the mouse out of the button, that's a mouse out button. So whenever you press a T, that's a on T down event. And whenever the page finishes loading, the web page finishes loading, that's a on load event. Okay, so like that we have more than 200 plus JavaScript events. These events are further divided into 8 types of further usage. And yeah, we'll dive deeper into how event works internally. Um, Coming to JavaScript DOM, DOM is nothing but document object model. So everything that you write in HTML is a DOM object. Okay, I know this sounds confusing to you, but it will be very much easier. So this is the main tree HTML. We divide it into head, body, and so on as we write the HTML. Okay, with the help of this document object model, we can examine the element state, like at which state, what is the value of this h1, what is written inside h1. We can change the state also. like whether a chatbot is dead or not. We can change styles, we can change the colors, we can change the bold, we can change the font size, everything using JavaScript document object model. Okay, so this is a beautiful example of how a JavaScript object document model works. So here we have an image tag. As you can see, an image tag has some attributes called source, alternate, ID. So source, there is some value. Alternate, there is some value. ID, there is some value. So this everything, this whole tag gets converted into a DOM element object. DOM element object has all its value. So tag name is image, since it's an image. SRC is what we mention here. At alternate is what we mention here. ID is what we mention here. And using JavaScript, we can get these values and change them even. So we are not directly changing HTML. We are using JavaScript to change our HTML. So that is nothing but document object model. And to dead and to make these changes, you need to first get the element from the HTML. And how you are going to get that element from the HTML? We have a function called document.getElement by ID. In document.getElement by ID, if you pass the ID which you have specified in your HTML, will get all the details related to this HTML tag. Okay, from there we can change it to whatever we want. So from this example we can say that there is an image tag from which ID is iton01. We dot that iton01 from document.element ID. We assign that document to iton and we are changing its source. So before it was octopus jpj, but I want to change it to tt.gif. I no need to write another image tag for that. I can directly change it from a JavaScript. So that is the main advantage of using JavaScript, is that we can change dynamically. Our HTML or web pages can change dynamically depending upon the events. Remember that anything that you have problem with document object model, document.getElement by ID is a very much important function for each and every front-end developer out there, because that's the only function that helps you that the DOM related, that helps you get the solution to all your DOM related problems. So this is one way to get the document object model, like to get a HTML tag from the HTML file. There are many other ways, but this is the most used and most easy to understand also. So document.getElement by ID. Okay. Now let's see the theoretical part. So here I have my JS running. This is JavaScript, plain JavaScript. If you can see, I've declared some variables: val name DSC, val name age, val name CGPA. Now, if I want to check the type, that what is the type, whether this name is a string or an integer, what I'll do is I'll just write console.log type of and my variable name. So console.log is nothing but printf. If you are from C, it's printf. If you are from C++, it is just like cout. Okay. When I click on run, it tells me that this is a type of string. So JavaScript automatically identifies what is the type of any variable. So age is here just a number. So it just says number. So using the type of function, we can tell whether this what type of variable that we are passing into. Okay. So this is about variables. This is also boolean. While is Sunday, we can directly assign boolean like this. Date, to get the date of the browser or date of the system, we use new date. New date is a function, and if you want to print this, you just type console.log today date and you run this, you get today's date, year, month, day. Okay. Coming to arrays, so JavaScript arrays are a little bit different. In a C++ array, we specify a data type before that. So all the array elements should follow that same data type. But here in JavaScript, there's nothing like that. In array, you can store how much whatever data type you like. So my first element is a number. My second element is a string. My third one is a true or false boolean value. My fourth one is a float value. Okay. I can store it like this. That's no problem. If I want, I can just write console.log array. This will show me all the values. See, 1, name, 2, 5. Yep, that's it. So this is something called object. Object is a new data type for most of you. So object is nothing but a t pair values. So you define an object by opening the curly braces, okay, and you specify what is the t. So Tata, Nexon, Suzuki, Swift, Audi Q7, Honda, City. So these are t pair values, okay. If you want, you can directly print them also. Console.log some object. So you will get t pair values like this: Tata, Nexon, Suzuki, Swift, Audi Q7, Honda City. Or if you want to get the value of only one t, suppose Audi, I only want to get the value of Audi. So I can just write some object.audi and I'll get its value Q7. So this is a new data type called object, and all our DOM manipulation is done in this data type only. Object, in type of object. Okay. Normal for loops also work. So for let I equals to 0, I less than array.length. So array.length is a function that gives us the length of this array, I plus plus. Console.log array of I. This is nothing but it will give me 1, name, 2, 5, whatever its value is there. And if you remember, I told you there is one more powerful function called for each. For each is little bit complex to understand because it uses arrow function. But it's easy. I'll let you know that array.forEach will automatically loop to the complete length. You don't need to specify the length I less than array.length, I equals to 0, I plus plus. This it will automatically assign and do it for you. Okay, and while doing this, it will return a value. This value is nothing but this one: 1, name, true, 5.0. So at each index, it will go and get this value for you. And that value I am printing here. Same output if you see. So these are some basics of JavaScript. I think this is enough for you to understand how JavaScript works, and enough for our project also that we are going to build, which is a timer project. Okay. So if I'm not wrong, this is what Navin has built using the HTML CSS, right? He has buttons start, pause, reset, image, some numbers, which we will control it through JavaScript now. So when I press the start button, this is milliseconds, this is seconds, and this is minutes. Okay. When I press the start, all this should be start running. When I pause, whatever the time it is, it should pause. And when I press reset, everything should be 0. Am I right? Yep. So let's start doing this. Let me move this to one side. Yep. Yep. So this is yeah. As you can see, my JavaScript file is completely empty. So I didn't just walking you through the HTML file. We have included the style sheet which Navin made. This one, and after that we started with the timer PNG. This timer PNG file. We load stopwatch. We assign some IDs. So this is minute. This is seconds. This is milliseconds. Okay. The reason why we are assigning ID is, if you remember, that we'll use document.find by element, find that element by ID function. So since we have to change this dynamically, we'll use this ID in our JavaScript code and change the value inside it. Okay. And 3 buttons: start, pause, and reset button. So when you click on the start button, what it should do is it should on-click event. So if you remember, we were talking about the click events in our PPT. So events are nothing but whenever user interacts with any of the button, an event is triggered. So when I clicked on this, on-click event is triggered. So when this on-click event is done, I want to start my timer. Okay, and I want to play an audio. Audio is nothing but a click sound. That's it. When I click on the pause button, my timer should pause and it should play an audio. When I click on reset button, it should reset and it should also play an audio. Okay, so you might be thinking, what is this? Start, pause, reset. Is this predefined or is this user made? This all functions are user made. These functions are should be written in this file, main.javascript file. And how this main.javascript file is attached to this HTML? You use a script tag. So script tag is nothing but you'll write script src, which is source, and you put the path name, file name. So main.js is my file name and you attach it to this HTML file. So whenever an event is triggered, this function should be there in this file, main.js file. Okay, then only our functions will be called and our dynamic changes can happen here. Okay, so let's start writing JavaScript here. So first let me declare some variables. Okay, so var milliseconds, let's declare it to 0 for initial. Same for the seconds also, let's declare it to 0. Same for minutes, let's declare it to 0. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the gap. There was some network issues. So we are back. Yep. Yep. So once this is done, now I need to get the document object ID, right? Document element by that element by ID. So since we are changing the minutes, since we are changing seconds and milliseconds, I need to know the ID of this key. For simplicity, Naveen already has mentioned IDs. So minutes, second, and milliseconds. Now I'll write some variables to get those. So var minute tag equals to document dot that element by ID, and I'll specify my ID here, min. Okay. Same for the settings tag equals to document dot that element by ID second var millisecond tag document dot that element by ID millisecond. Okay, so what I have done here is first I have declared some variables which is the overall count. So initially our milliseconds, seconds and minutes are in 0. Then I have dot this as DOM models. Okay, since we have to change this value, the only way we can change this value is to get this whole HTML tag in JavaScript. So this is what I have done here. I have put the whole HTML tag in JavaScript and stored them in this variables: min tag, second tag, and millisecond tag. Okay. Once this is done, now let me write some functions. So we defined three functions, right? What were those? Start, pause, and reset. So let me define those three functions now. Function start. Okay. One more function that we wanted was pause. And one more function that we wanted was reset. Okay. Apart from this, we also have a play audio function. So let's do that too. Function play audio. Okay. We defined a function now. Currently, these functions are not doing anything because we have not defined what to do with these functions, right? So when a start button is clicked, I want my timer to start, okay, and set the start button disabled, because whenever I click on the start button, I don't want user to keep on clicking start button. So once he has clicked, I want this button not to work, only pause and reset to work, right? So what I'll do is I'll get the start button by document dot get element by id, and I think the id for the start button is start. So I'll write here start, which has a property dot disabled. Yep, I'll set it to true. Okay, so whenever the start button is clicked, this won't start button won't work anymore because it's set to disabled. Okay, now I need to start my timer, which will update all these values. Okay, so let's define a function called timer. Okay, so yep. Now what we have to do is we have to call this timer function for every 10 milliseconds. Why 10 milliseconds? Because every 10 milliseconds is 0.01 second, right? So since we are also displaying the milliseconds here, we also need to update this milliseconds. So the only way we can do that is we have to call this timer for every 10 milliseconds. That way we will have 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, so on. The value will keep on increasing if we call the timer function for every 10 milliseconds. How I am going to do that? I'm not going to press the start button for every 10 milliseconds. In fact, JavaScript provides us a nice variable or nice function called set interval. Set interval, what it does is it takes a function as an input. My function here is timer, and it also, sorry, small, yep, and also it asked how much time should I call this function. So I have mentioned here 10. For every 10 milliseconds, please call this function, which is timer. Okay, and I am assigning this to some variable called interval. Okay, let me define that variable here, val interval, and assign that to here. Sure, done. So for every 10 milliseconds, this timer function will be called. Now, whenever this timer function is called, for every 10 milliseconds, we have to update these values, right? So what I am going to do is, first of all, we have to update the milliseconds one. So since we have already taken the millisecond tag, which is here, I'll just put it here, dot inner HTML. So what inner HTML does is, since this is a millisecond tag, inner HTML will allow us to change this value. So this is completely HTML. So inner HTML is the this value between the start and the end tag. Okay. So we need to change this value. So instead of 0, 0, I want here some number. So what I'm going to do is I'm writing 0 plus plus m second. So this is doing nothing but implementation, nothing else. So initially m second is 0. For the first time when it is called, it will be 0, 1. For the second time it will be called, it will be 0, 2. Like that, so on. Okay. And if microseconds are 100, that means it's equal to 1 second, right? So I'll write here one if else condition. If m second is greater than or equal to 100, if there is 100 milliseconds which is equals to if there is 100 milliseconds, then we have to update 1 second. So SCC plus plus. This is nothing but we are updating 1 second. Okay, and the problem is that when we update 1, it won't show 0, 1. It will show only 1. So since we also want 0, 1, if it's less than 10, what we are going to write is one more if condition. If second is less than 10, we already have the section tag dot inner HTML is nothing but include 0 at the start plus the second value. Okay. Else, if the second is greater than 10, then instantly just copy this and assign it to the section value. That's it. Okay. And for each and every increment, we'll reset the m second value to 0 again. Okay, because why we are doing this? Because we want to see the another second. For the first second, this is running fine. For the another second, this will be greater than, it will always be greater than or equal to 100 only for the every time. That's why we are setting milliseconds to 0. So once millisecond is 0, again milliseconds will start from 0 again. Okay. Now, if the second is greater than or equal to 60, so if we have 60 seconds, that is equal to 1 minute. Now we have to update the minute. So I wrote minute plus plus. Okay. If minute is less than 10, what I'm going to do, I'm doing what same that we did here. We have to append 0 before it, so that we get 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 like that. Okay. So minute tag dot inner HTML equals to 0 plus minute. If it's not, then what we are going to do, minute tag dot inner HTML equals to minute. Done. So this is for seconds, minutes, seconds. So if greater than 60, then we'll add in minute plus plus. That's it. Our timer function is ready, nothing else. So once again, I will explain you this logic. For every 10 milliseconds, timer function will be called. We are implementing the milliseconds. For every 10 milliseconds, we are implementing the milliseconds because we have to show them milliseconds here also. Okay. If millisecond is greater than or equal to 100, that means 1 second is already elapsed. So we are adding seconds plus plus. Okay. If second is less than 10, then we have to mention it as 01, 02, 03. To do that, we are appending 0 in front of the second. Else, if second is greater than 10, what we are going to do, we are directly appending it as an inner HTML. After each 1 second is elapsed, we are resetting the milliseconds to 0. Okay. Coming to the else if part. Else if part, that is we are checking seconds. If second is greater than or equal to 60, that means 1 minute has already elapsed. If the minute is less than 10, we are appending with 0. So we get 01, 02, 03, 04 minutes. Else, we are directly appending it as a minute. If it's 10, 11, 12, we can directly put it here. Okay. So after each 60 seconds, we have to again reset the seconds to 0, so that it counts to the another minute. I hope you're clear with this. Let me know in the chat section if you have any difficulty understanding this timer function. So the whole thing about this stopwatch timer project is this timer function only. Okay. Okay. Now what should I do for pause? For pause is also simple. What you will do, you will stop the interval. You will tell the interval to stop. Please don't call the timer function for every 10 milliseconds. You can stop now. To stop the interval, there is a function called clear interval. Okay. In clear interval, you will pass the variable, which is nothing but our interval. Since we have already assigned this to the interval, we have stopped it. Now, since our timer function is stopped, we can again make the start button as enabled. So let's stop it the same and keep disabled as false. So now the start button will be enabled when you hit the pause button. Okay. Coming to reset button. Reset button is very simple. All you have to do is reset the same value. So minute will be 0, seconds will be 0, milliseconds will be also 0. Okay. And if you update this value, you also have to update the HTML values. So how do you update the HTML values? First you get this tag, minute tag dot inner HTML equals to 0, 0. Okay. Section tag dot inner HTML equals to 0, 0. Millisecond tag, sorry, dot inner HTML equals to 0, 0. Okay. You have reset the value. Okay. One more thing, just to make sure that our timer is really stopped when we press reset, we'll call the pause function. So what the pause function does, pause function clears the interval, so it stops the function, right? So just to make sure that while we are resetting, our timer function is also stopped, we are calling the pause function. Okay. And yeah, that's it. Now let's do the audio thing. So whenever I click on a button, I want a little audio. So already I have downloaded an MP3 file. Okay. Now I'll link this MP3 file and play the audio. How I'm going to link the MP3 file? It's pretty much very easy. You just define a new variable called var audio file, which is equals to new audio. Okay. This will initiate all the audio dependencies into this variable audio file. Now you have to mention your file name clip.mp3 so that it can play that audio. So how you mention your file name is just like normal source file audio file dot src equals to cliet dot mp3. That's my file name. Okay, that's done. Once this is done, in our play audio function, what we have to do is audio file dot play. That's it. Okay. Yeah, that's all. This is what our JavaScript is for this the timer function. Now let's see whether our timer function is working or not. I'll click on the start. You can see that timer has started. Okay. If I didn't click on start, it won't work because we have disabled the button. Right? In the start, we have disabled the button. Now when I click on pause, you see we have paused the timer. We have not reset. We are just paused. We have paused the timer and we have start button is now enabled. Now when I click on start, it will again resume from there. Okay. Pause. Now when I click on reset, everything is from 0. I can click on start now. Reset. And I hope you can hear the audio that it's playing. Yeah. So this is a timer project that we wanted to build in this section. The code for this is already available in our GitHub. You can go check this out, how we made it. That's all from my side. If you got any doubts let me know in the chat box so I can clear your doubts. So the only thing that is really important here is the timer function, how we load this. So if you want me to explain this timer function, please let me know. I'll do it once more time. Rest all is easy.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. It was really a great explanation. So, guys, if you have any queries, you can shoot them in the comment section. So, we are ready to help you.
Ashish, you can stop presenting your screen. We'll just wait for a few questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I see one person asking that do we have to write colons after every JS tag? Would anyone would like to answer this?
By tolerant, does he mean semi-tolerant?
Yeah, semicolon. Yeah,
Yeah, that's not mandatory. If you want, you can keep. As you can see here, for minutes I tapped, for milliseconds I tapped, but for seconds you didn't tap. So JS doesn't really care whether you have tapped semi-column or not. So it's not mandatory to keep.
yeah. Okay. Yes, also all the code is being uploaded at DSC's GitHub repo. You can check that. We'll also paste that link in our Discord community. So that
Yep. If I think that's all. Adi, can we conclude?
yeah. So let us summarize what we have learned today. So first, Naveen has begun with telling the HTML and what how HTML5 has an advantage over HTML. Then we have seen CSS, but you might think that you have learned basics of CSS, yeah, but there is a lot more to learn, and our DSC's web dev team will try its best to cover more of the CSS in the further sessions. So stay tuned for that. And also, we also have seen how to install and set up our Visual Studio Code. It's a great editor. Do give it a try if you haven't. And yeah, we started our stopwatch. Then we have seen how to build that only using a HTML and CSS. Then Ashish has taken over, and we have learned a few basics of JavaScript. And the major part is the events. So make sure you brush those up. Then you go further and try the DOM manipulation, which is much more important. So yeah, thank you Ashish and Naveen for this great session. And this is NVS Aditya from DSC GITAM. I'm operational lead. If you haven't joined our community yet, I have pasted a link in the chat box. Please join over there. If you have any more further questions, you can always post at our web development channel in our Discord. So that's all from my side. If you have any more questions, do post it there. So we'll wrap up this session.
Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. Thanks Naveen for the wonderful explanation. Thank you Biswajit. Thank you Aditya for coming by.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Have a good day.